Hey everybody, Brian here. In this video I want to show you this car here. This is a revised version of Hyundai I30 and this is the NLine spec, and then this is 1 litre turbo. In this video I just want to run through the features that are new on this car versus the previous version of NLine we've had. So I think what we'll do is we'll run through some of the features inside on the car that are real obvious, but I'm going to have to put it beside the outgoing model as well, just so you can see the differences between the two. Which means we need to get it out of the showroom. Just before I do that, one thing I want to show you here on this, okay? So this is the previous model. This is the normal key that was there before. Lock, unlock the boot. The new one is a fob. So essentially, well, this had a fob as well, but this doesn't use a key shank that pops out. So the previous one, you opened out that, had a key, and then you locked and unlocked remotely. This one you still unlock remotely. There's a key that can detach out of it if needs be, but it's really unlikely you'll use that. And the upshot of that then is you leave the key in your pocket and you walk up to the car. It has a welcome function, which means they just pop out themselves. There's nice little lights in the door, and then to open the car, unlock, and to lock the car, lock. And the other upshot of that then is instead of a key, you have push button start. So instead of turning a key, you got push button. Let's get this car out. I'm going to get another one. Put inside it so we can do a comparison. Okay, let's start off with the end. There's pretty much no difference, right? So if we look over here, the bumper and that bumper are identical. The boot lids are absolutely identical. The spoilers up high, they're identical. Exposed exhaust on either side, they're identical. And then they have those really nice, like the thing about it is, I was really happy with the back of this car. I think it looks nice and square and aggressive, and it has those really nice LED taillights. So to be fair, I don't think they needed to change anything in the back because I think it looked really well already. The front end is where we'll see most of the differences really on the two cars. So one thing, they've really upgraded the lighting on the front of the car. So let's have a look down here. This one here always had a halogen headlight. They've now moved this into the LEDs, which are for dipped and for full lights. And actually, let's even start off from scratch. So if you look at, say, these ones here, now I'd have to say, I did like the fact that there was two sets of lights on these. So I did like that on the previous model, but these are much more modern looking. So there's a really nice LED that's already built into the headlight along here. And then that leaves room for like a larger air scoop over here. There is a skirt down low over here, which is literally the exact same. So nothing's changed in the skirting there, but that's a much nicer daytime running light, much more modern. The second thing then is the indicators. On the new one, they've become more integrated into the headlight. Again, a little bit more kind of classy and upmarket looking. These were quite nice, loads of little shapes down here, and they were an LED as well. But I kind of like these. I really like this because it's much closer to the I30, the 2 litre turbo N version. And then if anyone has one of these already, they're going to see a massive difference in lighting. So look at this, dipped LED headlights, full LED headlights, as opposed to this was completely halogen over here. So these are going to be much more effective, but they look really, really classy. And again, looks more like the I30 3 litre turbo N version now at the front. Let's step back a little bit further. So if you see over here, the grille had these kind of Y shapes along through here, and then it had those hexagonal kind of shapes over there. This one, the bottom has pretty much stayed the same, slightly different along the bottom, but instead of the kind of Y shapes we saw over there, more hexagonal shapes in through here. And this was kind of a silvery grey kind of colour, whereas this one is black. So a little bit more contrast, and usually that's a sporty kind of finish. Let's look at the badge. This was more of a kind of 3D style badge, whereas this new one has a flatter, the newer, I suppose, corporate badging that's on it, so it's much flatter looking, with probably a brushed aluminium rather than a chrome effect. After that then, it still retains obviously NLine over here on the front grille, and then if we look over here, NLine was always on the wing, and that remains on the wing over here, and the mirror caps are black like before. So for me, looking at these cars over the last couple of years, I would find that the newer version looks much more like the high-powered I30 N with those headlights than the previous generation did. And like what we said then, they're going to be much more practical with better lighting at night time as well. The wheels are also different. So the previous version of the car then had a 225, 17-inch basically wheel with Michelin Premium tyres. This one again retains the same wheel size, but a different style of wheel. This one was diamond cutting with kind of, I suppose, 5 spokes with individual variations. This one's a flatter, again diamond cut wheel, but probably with more shapes and designs than the previous version. Just fills out the arches a little bit more. One thing I really like on the new one as well is they had kind of aggressive bumpers. Sorry, the previous model had aggressive bumpers on the front and the rear, but no side skirt. So they finally introduced a side skirt along here, again making it just look a little bit more sporty, like its 2-litre turbo counterpart. So if you see along here, no skirting. This one here, a dark skirt with a brushed aluminium sort of shadow chrome effect down through there as well, and that just makes it a little bit more sporty. It just brings the whole stance of the car a little bit lower to the ground. So again, that just makes it look sporty, and that's the whole idea of this car. It's a sporty look, but it's still got the practical running costs. I have this video here which I went through features on why I really like the I30 NLine when it came out first, and why I thought people would buy it. So it's worth watching if you think this is something that you might be interested in. So this one being a 1-litre turbo again for Ireland, retains the spare wheel. The boot hasn't changed. This is the exact same that we had from the previous model before. Just one thing I do see though is this has got a brighter sort of LED style light compared to the more yellowy sort of halogen one that was there before. The N-line seating that was there before with the kind of red stitching, and I suppose a dark with red stitching with light inserts, that has been retained into this model. But the major change that I see in the rear of the car is before there was no entertainment, no entertainment functionality for the rear passengers, whereas we're now getting ventilation in the rear, and you're also getting 2 USB-C chargers, which are the more modern, smaller ones for faster charging. So you'll also have them in the rear, and then you had those awesome seats that were in the previous model. Thank God they didn't change the seats, because these are super awesome seats. They're the same design of seat that comes in the 2-litre turbo. One thing actually is the 2-litre turbo has like a half leather interior. I actually much prefer the full cloth. I think it's actually sportier looking, but that's just my opinion. So it has the N embossed in there, but they're like the nicest seats in any car that we sell at the moment, which means passenger seat is height adjustable, driver seat is height adjustable, fine. But the real nice thing I like on these is you have horizontal and vertical lumbar support. So basically, lots of modern cars, they have lumbar support that goes in and out, but this one you can also choose the height of it. Again, just kind of gives you that more sporty feeling. And I love the fact that this comes out, and it did that in the previous model as well, but just more support underneath your thighs. And then that steering wheel is the nice N-line steering wheel with leather wrapping. Some of it's nappa, some of it's perforated, and it has red stitching all the way in around. And then the gear knob is the nice N-style gear knob with little red accents, and again, nice red stitching. Okay, let's remind ourselves of the previous model dash. So this is the first model dash. So you got an 8-inch screen in through there. I got a reverse camera. This one has the ability to use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I do have wireless charging, but there's a big kind of area down through here. I have a manual handbrake, and I have analog dash clocks in through there with, you know, some level of customization, but basic straightforward analog. Whereas when I move into this newer one here, oh, actually one thing, what I think of it, this previous model had a reverse camera with parking sensors on the rear, whereas this new one will have camera sensors on the rear, but it's also going to have parking sensors on the front. So anyway, just checking off compared to the dash this time. So this one now has customizable dash clocks. I'll get back to that in a sec. So armrest is there, we had that before. New covered storage, electronic handbrake, more storage in through there. Wireless charging, USB we had before, but now also another port for USB-C. Just for tidiness, that closes down, and it's nice piano black. Exact same heating controls. Push button start we saw already. Much bigger screen in through the center, 10.25 with a big camera, and like what we said, it has the sensors on the front and the rear. This one also has factory navigation as well, so this is the kind of screen that we've seen in the electric cars over the last couple of years, so it's a much more advanced screen, and again supporting Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. And then in through here, if we want, we can start changing things like how the dash clocks look. After that, like its predecessor, then automatic headlights, which come on themselves at night and dip when they meet traffic. There's things like speed sign recognition now, so much more, I suppose, the more modern safety package that you get on the cars now, which is more, not like anti-lock brakes and all that stuff is there for years, but it's more about trying to keep you in the lane and trying to make you obey speed signs and other various signs that are on the road as well. One other thing I see they're after taking from the 2-litre turbo version, the previous model had plastic pedals, which I was surprised by, whereas these ones have the nice aluminium pedals as well. So they look nice, and they're actually nice to use. So I don't think I've left anything out. I think that pretty much covers most of the differences on the new model. There has been a price change on that to reflect it, but I think for what you're getting, actually it's well worth it when you look at it, but that'll depend on what country you're in and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, if you want more information on this car, 086 843 1945. Call or text or WhatsApp if you want information on the car, or if you're watching on the net like YouTube or whatever, just let me know in the comment section below if there's something that I've missed out on that you'd like to know more about this particular car. And I'm a big fan of this car. If you look at the price point it's at, go compare it to things like Focus ST line and Golf R line and all that kind of stuff. I think for what you're getting in the car at the price point, it's good value for money. And for somebody that wants the kind of end styling, but you know, doesn't want or need the associated running costs of the bigger 2-litre turbo, I think at this price point, these are good value for money. Anyway, I like them. So, hopefully the car is of interest, and hopefully the video is useful. Thanks for watching.